The massive alien ship appeared on a quiet Tuesday morning in April 2157. It hung over New York like a dark cloud, twice the size of the largest aircraft carrier ever built. Major Larry Peterson stood at the United Nations Plaza, adjusting his Marine dress uniform one last time. After 20 years of military service, he never thought he'd be humanity's first official greeting party to an alien species. "Sir, the Zarkin delegation is preparing to land," Staff Sergeant Maria Rodriguez said, standing at attention beside him. Her combat experience showed in her alert eyes, constantly scanning the area despite the peaceful nature of the meeting. The alien shuttle descended with a soft hum, nothing like the roar of Earth's rockets. Its surface gleamed like polished silver under the spring sun. As the vessel touched down, Peterson took a deep breath. The fate of Earth might depend on this first meeting. The shuttle's door opened with a gentle hiss. 3 tall figures stepped out, their blue-gray skin reflecting the sunlight. They wore what looked like ceremonial armor, decorated with symbols Peterson guessed showed their rank. The tallest one, standing nearly 8 feet high, walked forward with a grace that seemed odd for its size. "Welcome to Earth," Peterson said, stepping forward with his hand extended in greeting. "I am Major Larry Peterson of the United States Marine Corps, representing Earth's Defense Forces." The tall alien looked down at Peterson's hand, then at his uniform. Its large purple eyes blinked slowly. When it spoke, its translator converted the clicks and whistles into English. "I am High Commander Zextar of the Zarkin Empire. Your primitive weapons are unnecessary here. We come in peace." The alien's voice carried a hint of amusement. Peterson kept his diplomatic smile, but Rodriguez noticed his jaw tightened slightly. 20 years of combat experience told her this wasn't going well. The meeting moved inside the UN building. As Earth's leaders presented their military capabilities as a sign of strength, the aliens barely paid attention. They seemed more interested in the paintings on the walls than the videos of Earth's latest fighter jets and tanks. "Fascinating," Zextar said, examining an old military painting. "You still engage in physical combat." "How? Quaint. Our empire hasn't needed ground troops in centuries. Energy weapons and orbital bombardment handle any disagreements." Rodriguez watched from her position by the door as the alien delegation whispered among themselves, making clicking sounds their translators didn't convert. She didn't like how they kept looking at the military presentation with what seemed like barely hidden smiles. During the lunch break, Peterson found Rodriguez in the security room. "What's your take, Sergeant?" "They're too confident, sir," she said, checking the security feeds. "They act like we're children showing off toy soldiers. I've seen that look before, in Sierra Leone, before the ambush. They're not taking us seriously." Peterson nodded slowly. "Keep an eye on them. Something feels off about this whole thing." In orbit, hidden from Earth's basic scanning systems, the Zarkin battle fleet was already gathering. In his private quarters aboard the flagship, High Commander Zextar studied the Earth reports with growing satisfaction. These humans, with their primitive projectile weapons and basic energy shields, would make an easy conquest. Their insistence on maintaining ground forces showed how backward they were. "High Commander," his aide entered the room, "the invasion fleet is almost ready. Shall we begin preparations?" Zextar looked at the blue planet through his viewport. "Yes. These humans and their outdated military will learn the power of the Empire. Their stubborn pride in physical combat will be their downfall." Back on Earth, as the day ended, Rodriguez watched the alien ship disappear into the clouds. "Sir," she said to Peterson, "should we increase our readiness level?" Peterson looked at the darkening sky. "Yes. Tell all commands to go to condition yellow." Quietly, "I don't think our new friends are as peaceful as they claim." Little did the Zarkin Empire know, they had just made the biggest mistake in their 1,000-year history. They had looked at humanity's technology and dismissed their greatest strength: the sheer determination, adaptability, and combat skill of human ground troops. They would learn their error the hard way. 3 days after the first contact, the attack began. The Zarkin ships appeared at dawn, their massive shapes blocking out the sun over every major city on Earth. Colonel Kevin Wright was drinking his morning coffee in the Pentagon when the first reports came in. "Sir, multiple alien vessels detected. They're launching energy weapons." The young radar operator's voice cracked with urgency. Wright didn't waste a second. "Activate the shield network. Get all troops to battle stations." He had helped design Earth's experimental defense system, hoping they'd never need it. Now it was their only hope. The alien ships fired their purple beams, expecting to easily destroy Earth's cities. Instead, their weapons hit invisible barriers. The experimental shields, built using technology reverse-engineered from old crashed alien ships, held firm. High Commander Zexstar couldn't believe his eyes. "Impossible. Their shields are deflecting our weapons. Launch the ground forces. We'll crush them the old way." Lieutenant Amy Franklin and her squad watched from a hidden position as the alien dropships landed in Central Park. The aliens marched out in neat rows, their armor gleaming. They carried weapons that looked like something from a sci-fi movie. "Remember your training," Franklin whispered to her troops. "Let them get comfortable. Wait for my signal." The aliens moved through the park like they were on parade. Their scanners showed no human forces nearby. They didn't realize that the humans had learned to trick their detection systems using simple materials found in any hardware store. Franklin watched through her scope as the alien commander stepped forward. "This city is now under Zarkin control. Resistance is." "Now." Franklin's voice cut through the radio. In seconds, the park exploded into chaos. Humans popped up from under piles of leaves, behind trees, and from inside hollow statues. The aliens' fancy armor didn't help them when simple bullets hit the weak spots in their joints. Their advanced weapons were useless when they couldn't tell where the shots were coming from. "They're everywhere." An alien soldier screamed into his comm unit. "The scanners can't track them." Franklin's troops moved like ghosts through the trees, using tactics perfected over centuries of warfare. The aliens had forgotten the basics of ground combat, relying too much on their technology. They didn't check their corners, didn't use cover properly, and bunched up in easy targets. Back at the Pentagon, Wright watched the battle feeds with growing hope. "Send word to all cities. Guerrilla tactics are working. Keep them confused. Don't let them regroup." The Zarkin forces retreated to their dropships, leaving behind their dead and wounded. They had expected an easy victory over primitive humans. Instead, they got a harsh lesson in modern combat. In orbit, Zexstar received the reports with growing anger. How are they beating our elite troops? They're using primitive projectile weapons." His tactical officer looked nervous. "Sir, we're getting similar reports from all landing zones. The humans, they're not fighting like we expected. They're using the terrain, hitting weak points, disappearing before we can respond. Our forces aren't trained for this kind of combat." On the ground, Franklin's team gathered alien weapons and armor from the battlefield. "Send these to research," she ordered, "and get me a line to command. They need to know what we learned." The first day of the invasion was ending. The aliens had expected to conquer Earth in hours. Instead, they faced a hard truth. Humans weren't the primitive warriors they thought. Every city, town, and village was becoming a fortress. Earth's armies hadn't forgotten the art of ground combat, and they were ready to teach the aliens why. In his command center, Wright studied the battle reports. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "The enemy is vulnerable on the ground. They've forgotten how to fight up close. We haven't. It's time to show them why humans still train for ground combat." The real war was just beginning, and humanity was ready to fight for every inch of their planet. Deep under the Rocky Mountains, Captain Scott Morrison watched the screens showing battle updates from around the world. The underground command center had been built years ago for a nuclear war, but now it served as humanity's main defense hub against the aliens. "Sir, Sergeant Diana Phillips' report just came in from the field. a communications officer said, handing him a tablet. Morrison read the report with growing interest. Phillips and her team had found a way to use the aliens' own communication signals against them. By tracking their radio patterns, human forces could predict where the Zarkin would attack next. "They're still fighting like it's a parade," Phillips had written. "They'd bunch up in tight formations and rely on their tech. They'd forgotten the basics of combat." Above ground, Phillips and her team were proving this point. They had spent the last week teaching other units how to fight the aliens up close. The Zarkin troops were tall and strong, but they moved slowly in Earth's gravity. Their fancy armor couldn't help them when human soldiers got in close. "Remember," Phillips told a group of Marines, "they don't expect us to get near them. Their weapons are made for long-range fights. Get in close, and they panic." In the nearby forest, her words were being put to the test. A Zarkin patrol walked down an old hiking trail, their scanners sweeping for humans. They didn't notice the soldiers hiding in the trees above them. The attack was quick and silent. Humans dropped from the branches, using simple rope systems. Before the aliens could raise their weapons, the humans were already among them. The fight was over in minutes. "Base, this is Phillips," she radioed in. "Another patrol down. No casualties on our side. These aliens really don't know how to handle close combat." Morrison received the news with satisfaction. All across Earth, similar reports were coming in. The aliens had better technology, but they had forgotten how to fight without it. They didn't know how to handle rain, snow, or dense forests. They struggled to move in Earth's gravity and got tired quickly in the thick air. "Sir," a young soldier burst into the command center. "Our forces in Oregon just captured an alien forward base. They're sending pictures now." The screens lit up with images of a Zarkin base. It was impressive, full of advanced technology, but the humans had taken it using simple tactics. They had waited for a rainstorm, knowing the alien sensors didn't work well in heavy weather. Then they had attacked from all sides, using the confusion to their advantage. In orbit, High Commander Zextar was getting angry reports from his ground forces. His troops were being defeated by what he had called primitive humans. Every day, they lost more soldiers and equipment. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "They're using projectile weapons and basic tactics." His military advisor looked worried. "Sir, that's the problem. We've forgotten how to fight that way. Our troops are trained for space battles and long-range combat. These humans, they're experts at fighting on the ground. They know their planet. They know how to use every tree, rock, and weather condition to their advantage." Back in the mountain base, Morrison called a meeting with his top officers. The room was full of maps showing human victories in green and alien positions in red. The green areas were growing larger every day. "The Zarkin made 3 big mistakes," Morrison told them. "They thought technology would win the war. They forgot how to fight on the ground. And worst of all, they thought humans would be easy to beat." Phillips nodded from her seat. "We're teaching them otherwise. Every day, we learn more about their weaknesses. They can't adapt like we can. They don't understand why we train for all types of combat." Morrison looked at the battle maps again. The aliens still held orbital control, but on the ground, humanity was winning. The resistance wasn't just surviving. It was getting stronger. "Keep pushing," he ordered. "Show them why Earth's armies never stop training for ground combat. Show them why you never underestimate human soldiers." Major Lisa Henderson stared at the alien device on her workbench. After 3 weeks of study, she had finally cracked the code of their communication system. The breakthrough happened when she realized the aliens used a simple pattern in their complex technology. "It's like they got so advanced, they forgot about basic security," she told her team. "They never thought someone could understand their tech without computers." In the lab hidden beneath Seattle, Henderson's team worked day and night to copy the alien communication codes. They used parts from old radio sets and modified cell phones to build new devices that could tap into the Zarkin battle network. Meanwhile, In the mountains of Colorado, Lieutenant John Baker was proving that human soldiers could beat the aliens at high altitude. His mountain warfare unit had spent years training in thin air and rough terrain. The aliens, used to fighting in space, couldn't handle the steep climbs and cold weather. "They're dropping like flies up here," Baker reported over the radio. "Their armor doesn't work well in the cold, and they can't breathe in the thin air. We've taken 3 of their bases without firing a shot. They just couldn't keep fighting in these conditions." The aliens had another problem: Earth's gravity. Their tall bodies, evolved on a planet with weaker gravity, struggled to move quickly on Earth. Human soldiers, born and raised in Earth's gravity, could run circles around them. "Watch this," Baker told his troops as they prepared another ambush. They had spent the morning climbing a steep trail that led to an alien base. The aliens had built their base in a valley, thinking the high ground wasn't important. It was a mistake that would cost them. The human soldiers moved silently through the snow, wearing white camouflage. Their boots, designed for mountain climbing, gave them perfect grip. The aliens below didn't even look up. Their scanners didn't work well in the cold mountain air. Baker gave the signal, and his troops started rolling boulders down the mountain. The aliens panicked as rocks crashed through their base. While they were confused, human soldiers slid down the slopes on simple snow sleds, attacking from all sides. "Base is secured," Baker reported later. "Found something interesting too. Looks like they were building a weather control device. They wanted to change Earth's atmosphere to make it more like their home planet." In her lab, Henderson got the news with excitement. "That's why they're struggling so much. Their bodies aren't built for Earth's air pressure. They need special suits just to walk around here." The humans began using this knowledge. They started targeting the aliens' environmental suits, forcing them to retreat. Without their suits, the Zarkin soldiers couldn't handle Earth's thick atmosphere. "This is better than any weapon," Henderson told her commanders. "We don't need to beat their technology. We just need to use our planet against them." The alien commanders couldn't understand what was happening. Their soldiers kept failing, not because of combat, but because of Earth itself. The gravity tired them out. The air was too thick to breathe comfortably. The weather changed too quickly for their equipment to adapt. "These conditions are impossible," one alien commander complained. "How do the humans live like this?" The answer was simple. Humans had evolved on Earth. Their bodies were perfect for its gravity, air, and weather. What the aliens saw as harsh conditions were normal for human soldiers. High Commander Zextar received more bad news each day. His troops were losing bases across Earth's mountains. Human soldiers were using his own communication network against him. Worst of all, Earth's environment was defeating his forces better than any weapon. "We thought they were primitive," he told his advisors. "But they are perfectly adapted to this world. Every mountain, every storm, every change in weather helps them fight us." The war was changing. The aliens' advanced technology couldn't help them against Earth itself. Human soldiers, trained to fight in every environment, were proving that their planet was the perfect weapon against invasion. Colonel Patricia Martinez stood in the Global Command Center, looking at the huge wall of screens. After months of fighting, the time had come to push back against the alien invaders. Every screen showed military units from different countries, all waiting for her signal. "All forces, this is Colonel Martinez. Operation Earth's Fury begins now," she said into her microphone. Her voice reached soldiers in every corner of the world. In the African savannah, Sergeant Eric Thompson and his tank hunting team watched an alien crawler move across the dry grass. The huge alien vehicle looked unstoppable, but Thompson knew better. His team had spent weeks studying how these machines worked. "Wait for it," Thompson whispered to his team. The alien crawler stepped exactly where they wanted it to. Now, the ground beneath the crawler collapsed. Thompson's team had spent days digging tunnels under the dry earth, just like African animals did. The alien machine fell into the trap, its legs tangled in steel cables hidden in the dirt. Target stuck, Thompson reported. Moving in. His team rushed forward with special tools they had made from captured alien metals. In minutes, they had the crawler's hatches open. The aliens inside never had a chance to fight back. On the other side of the world, Chinese and American special forces worked together in the mountains. They had learned that the aliens hated fighting in high places. Now they used this knowledge to drive them out of their mountain bases. "This is Captain Bill Rogers," a voice crackled over the radio. "The aliens are retreating from Mount Fuji. They can't handle the thin air and steep slopes. Japanese forces are moving in to secure the base." Martinez smiled as more good news came in. Korean ships were pushing alien forces back from their coasts. Indian troops had taken back 3 major cities. Brazilian soldiers had trapped alien units in the Amazon rainforest. They made a big mistake, Martinez told her officers. They thought having one type of soldier would work everywhere. But Earth has too many different environments. Our soldiers train for every kind of battle. In Australia, proof of her words was playing out. The aliens had tried to set up bases in the outback, thinking the harsh desert would protect them. They were wrong. Australian special forces, used to the heat and vast empty spaces, found every alien base. "Those alien cooling systems make great targets," an Australian commander reported. "They can't handle our heat without them. We just wait for the hottest part of the day, then strike." Sergeant Thompson's team captured their 5th alien crawler that day. They had gotten so good at it, they could now take one down in less than 10 minutes. "Send this one to research," he ordered. "And tell command we found their patrol patterns. They're like clockwork, same route, same time, every day. They never adapt." In orbit, High Commander Zextar watched in horror as his forces lost ground everywhere. His soldiers were retreating from every continent. The humans weren't just defending anymore. They were attacking and winning. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "We have better weapons, better armor, better everything." His tactical officer looked scared. "Sir, they're using our own strength against us. Our forces are too organized, too predictable. The humans, they keep changing their tactics. They fight different ways in different places. We can't keep up." Back in the command center, Martinez watched as more green lights appeared on her screens. Each one showed another victory for Earth's forces. The aliens were learning a hard lesson. Better technology wasn't enough to win a war. "Keep pushing," she ordered. "Show them why Earth's armies train for every environment. Show them why you never underestimate human soldiers who are fighting for their home." The counter-strike was working. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens were the ones running away. High Commander Zextar paced in his orbital command room. For the first time in the Zarkan Empire's 1,000-year history, they were losing a war. His officers watched nervously as their leader's blue-gray skin turned darker with anger. "Show me the latest reports," he demanded. The screens lit up with bad news from every corner of Earth. On the ground, Captain Richard Carter led his forces through the streets of Chicago. His team had gotten very good at urban warfare against the aliens. They used the city itself as a weapon. "Team 2, make some noise," Carter ordered through his radio. A few blocks away, his soldiers set off car alarms and played loud music. The aliens, with their sensitive hearing, turned toward the sound. "Team 1, move in," Carter whispered. His main force slipped through the shadows behind the distracted aliens. They had learned that the Zarkan soldiers always looked toward loud noises. It made them easy to fool. Lieutenant Susan Baker's guerrilla tactics had become famous among both humans and aliens. In the dense forests of Germany, her teams moved like ghosts. They never attacked the same way twice. The aliens began to fear going into wooded areas. "They're calling her the Forest Spirit," a captured alien soldier told his interrogators. "They say she can appear and disappear like magic. Many of our soldiers refuse to patrol in forests now." Baker didn't know about her new nickname. She was too busy teaching other units how to use the trees against the aliens. They rely too much on their scanners, she told her students. They never look up. They never check behind trees. They make the same mistakes every time. The aliens' problems got worse each day. Their soldiers were tired. Fighting in Earth's gravity drained their strength. The atmosphere was too thick for them to breathe properly. Even their battle suits couldn't help anymore. Humans had learned all their weak points. Another base lost in Russia. An alien officer reported to Zextar. The humans use the cold weather against us again. Our equipment freezes up, but they keep fighting. Zextar couldn't believe how badly things had gone wrong. His empire had conquered dozens of worlds, but Earth was different. These humans weren't supposed to be so hard to beat. They didn't have energy weapons or space fleets. They fought with simple guns and basic tactics. But those simple weapons and basic tactics were winning the war. Human soldiers had learned to target the aliens' environmental suits. Without those suits, the Zarkan couldn't handle Earth's conditions. They needed special air mixtures to breathe. They got tired quickly in the gravity. "Sir," his tactical officer spoke quietly, "our ground forces are facing collapse. The humans have adapted to all our tactics. They know all our weaknesses now. Our soldiers are asking to retreat." In London, Baker's tactics spread to other cities. Human soldiers moved through underground tunnels the aliens didn't know about. They popped up behind enemy lines, caused chaos, and disappeared again. The aliens couldn't cope with enemies they couldn't track with technology. Carter's forces in Chicago cleared another district. The aliens retreated, leaving behind more equipment for humans to study and use against them. Each abandoned weapon and broken suit taught humans more about their enemies. "The Empire has never faced anything like this," a captured alien commander admitted. "We thought humans were primitive because they still fought on the ground. We were wrong. They're not primitive. They're perfectly adapted to fight here. This is their world, and they know how to use every part of it against us." Zextar received the final reports of the day. His forces had lost more ground. More soldiers had been captured. More equipment had been taken. The mighty Zarkan Empire was losing to what they had called a primitive species. The Empire's greatest defeat was beginning, and there was nothing their advanced technology could do to stop it. Major William Cooper walked into the United Nations building, remembering the first meeting with the aliens 6 months ago. The marble halls looked different now. Captured alien weapons hung on the walls next to ancient human weapons, showing how far humanity had come. Today, he wasn't here to fight. He was here to end the war. The Zarkan Empire had finally asked for peace talks. "The alien ship is landing, sir," Sergeant Michelle Davis reported. She had become a symbol of the resistance after leading the defense of Sydney. Her tactics had helped save thousands of lives. The alien shuttle looked less impressive now. Its once shiny surface was scratched and dented. The mighty Zarkan Empire wasn't so mighty anymore. High Commander Zextar stepped out, moving carefully in Earth's gravity. He looked older, tired. Behind him, his officers kept their eyes down, ashamed of their defeat. "Welcome back to Earth," Cooper said, his voice firm but not unkind. "This time, I hope you're ready to listen." Inside the meeting room, the walls showed videos of human victories. Each screen told the story of how Earth's armies had beaten the alien invasion. The Zarkan officers watched with new respect and fear. "You've cost us more than any war in our history," Zextar admitted. "We lost half our ground forces, thousands of ships, hundreds of bases, all because we thought you were primitive." Davis stepped forward, placing a captured alien weapon on the table. "You thought we were weak because we still trained for ground combat. But that training is what beat you. We know how to fight in every environment on Earth. Your soldiers only knew one way to fight." The peace talks went on for hours. The aliens had to agree to strict rules. They couldn't enter Earth's space without permission. They had to admit that Earth was unconquerable. Most importantly, they had to tell other alien races about their defeat. "Let them know what happens when you underestimate humans," Cooper said. "Let them know why Earth's armies still train for ground combat." In cities around the world, people watched as the last alien ships left Earth's orbit. Humanity had won. They had beaten an empire that ruled hundreds of worlds. "You know what their biggest mistake was?" Davis asked Cooper as they watched the ships leave. "They thought technology was everything. They forgot that weapons don't win wars. Soldiers do, and Earth's soldiers never stopped learning, never stopped adapting. The victory changed everything. Earth's armies had captured enough alien technology to advance hundreds of years. But they didn't forget their lessons. They kept training for ground combat. They kept learning to fight in every environment. Other alien races heard about the Zarkan Empire's defeat. They learned about the human soldiers who had beaten the galaxy's strongest army. Some didn't believe it at first. How could a planet with such basic technology defeat the mighty Zarkan? But the evidence was clear. The Empire's broken ships and captured weapons told the story. The human soldiers who had seemed so primitive had proven to be the galaxy's best warriors. "We learned something too," Cooper told the UN Council after the war. "We learned that our greatest strength isn't our weapons or technology. It's our ability to adapt, to fight anywhere, to use everything around us as a weapon." Davis nodded from her seat. "The aliens thought they were better than us because they had fancy weapons. But they forgot something important. The best weapon isn't a gun or a spaceship. It's the soldier holding it. As Earth rebuilt, its armies grew stronger. They combined their combat skills with captured alien technology. But they never forgot what had won the war: the training, determination, and adaptability of human ground troops. The galaxy learned a valuable lesson. Never underestimate humans fighting for their home. They might not have the best technology, but they had something more important: the will and skill to use everything they had, from sticks and stones to captured alien weapons, to defend their world."